Hi, Cathrine.
Hello.
And welcome to Walk in the Park.
Thank you.
So today we have Cathrine Ro Heuch with us at Walk in the Park podcast. And in this podcast, we usually talk about founder journeys. What made you become an entrepreneur? What formed you before that? And your experiences and learnings, pivotal stories. And you are one of the co-founders and CEO of Nordic Brain Tech.
Yes.
The digital health care company focusing on the migraine kind of treatments and how to make it, democratizing it actually, to bring it home to the patients, right?
Yes.
Let's walk.
Thank you.
So the first question I usually ask is if you have walking dogs often?
No, never. Too rare, actually. Should have many more. But every day is really hectic, so it's not much time. I usually run between meetings. So I like to have a small run in between. Or it's just because I have a limited time, hectic days.
I totally understand that. That's the founder life. So how did your entrepreneurial journey start?
Yeah, well, so originally I'm from Oslo. I moved right to Trondheim after high school to study chemical engineering and biotechnology. And I finished that master's degree. But I was also on a summer school trip to the US, and I worked in a startup there and took some courses at UC Berkeley through it's something called Gründerskolen, and that was just super inspiring for me. I really felt passionate about entrepreneurship, so I came back to Norway and joined a couple of startups and startup projects, and I just felt that this was what I was meant to do. So after my chemical engineering studies, I started on NTNU Entrepreneurship School, which is another master's degree in entrepreneurship, where we also have to start companies and build teams. We have to test, and some of the startups, they continue after the master's degree, and some they crash. Mine, we stopped our project, so instead of continuing with the school project there, I went to NTNU to their technology transfer office, and I knocked on their door and I asked if they had any projects I could work with. And that turned into a part-time job, and that turned into a project where I met neurologists at NTNU and St. Olav's Hospital, and we started to work together on a migraine project. And eventually we founded Nordic Brain Tech together to commercialize the innovation they had been working on for years at the university. So that was my way into the startup world.
That happened almost 6 years ago, right?
Yes.
And when we talked on the phone first time, you said, almost the same story when you were talking to doctors and talking to people, and both in terms of what project to join, but also in terms of next step, recruiting a team, founding co-founders. You told me you were talking to people, asking who want to work with me. So tell us that story.
Yeah, so when I met with the medical team, I basically asked the technology transfer office, hey, can I start a startup with this? Sure, they said. But I needed some more technical people on my team. So the 3 medical co-founders, they continued their job at the hospital. So it was only me, and I went around at the university, asked my teammates from the entrepreneurship school. I asked almost everyone, and I asked if they knew someone that would or might be interested in joining such a team in digital health. And then through one of my friends at the study, he knew someone named Marcus. So we met once, and I was like, hey, you want to join my startup? Yeah, sure. We had a good meeting, I guess, and talked a bit about the concept and the potential. And then Marcus knew someone named Stefan, and we met with him. And he wanted to join. So then we were 3 people. Me, Marcus, Stefan, and the medical team. Didn't know each other, but it worked very well out. So 6 years later, we're still going strong. And it was just so important to have people like them who wanted to take the big risk of joining a newly founded company. We founded it together. Yeah. So that was just amazing.
We'll come back to founder dynamics and more discussion about how you guys work together. It's really interesting. But now about healthcare and innovation and startup kind of environment. Do you remember you had the interest for innovation and healthcare since early age, or how did that happen?
I always had an interest in biotechnology, biology, life science in general, always since early days. And my parents are doctors. So, growing up I had all these models of brains and books with, pictures from medical studies, I guess. No, it was something that I felt during my chemical engineering studies, that I really wanted to work with something that I felt passionate about. And I didn't feel that passion for what I was studying in that sense. I wanted to create something, I wanted to build something, and it could have been within the chemistry world, within green technology, but it's very hard to just start a project from the very beginning in the chemical engineering industry. When I came across this health project, I just felt that, this makes a lot of sense. The technology is very scalable, the problem is very to the point, it's a huge patient population with a lot of needs. Yeah.
Since you mentioned you want to follow your passion and what you want to do, how did you know this is the right way? Is it something in your family, like you've been taught since early age, follow your heart?
I don't know, but since I was a little girl, I always liked to, do my hair and makeup by myself, dress in whatever clothes I wanted. I always liked the creativity. I've been doing competing in dance and always liked to draw and paint. So I felt I wanted to do something creative. And engineering studies isn't really a lot about creativity. But when I came across entrepreneurship, it allowed me to be creative within strategy, business building, and that was just a perfect match.
Yeah, and there's also a personal story, right? Because the focus for Nordic Brain Tech is the migraine treatment, right? And you had some of those when you were small, right? So was it something also which sparked you, or were like, this is a problem I know? This is always often like a personal story in the founder life, right? So what was that story, and is that connected, right?
Yeah, I mean, the innovation from NTNU was initially around building an innovation for kids with migraine, because they have very few options today. You usually don't want to take medication for children. And I had migraine as a child, but I didn't know that until I was a bit older, understanding it. But then I remember all the situations from when I was little and I suddenly became sick and I needed to go to bed while I had friends over playing, stuff like that. And since both my parents are neurologists, it was just many interests that came together at once, with the migraine, within neurology, and then within health and digital health. And it was an innovation that came from the best migraine experts in Norway. So it was actually built by the experts themselves. And the field of migraine really needs this innovation. It's not just something that I made up in my head. So I think it was a good combination there with a bit personal fit and the business potential.
And last week, I saw it on LinkedIn and on the news. You achieved a big milestone, right? You got the clinical results of the product, and it's a big thing for the researchers, innovators, like company leaders. So tell us about that. How do you feel?
Yeah, so within digital health, everything is about the evidence, especially when we build a digital therapy that aims to prevent migraine. We need to document that with clinical evidence. And we've been doing that since the early days. And the research project started 10 years ago now. So it's always been based on clinical trials and researchers who have documented their work. And the last clinical trial we did this time was a big randomized trial where we actually documented the clinical effect of the treatment. And that was on 290 patients, where half of the patients, they used our biofeedback treatment for 3 months, and the other half, they did not use any treatment, just documented their migraine in a diary. And we've now shown that it's a statistically significant reduction in migraine days between the groups. And not only was migraine reduced, but also acute medication was reduced, intensity of a migraine attack was reduced, and most importantly, the quality of life was drastically increased in the group of patients who tested biofeedback.
So tell us more now about what is the biofeedback therapy.
Yeah, so biofeedback is a type of relaxation therapy where you can actually train your body to be less stressed. So it's actually a well-documented principle or methodology. But the problem today is that if you want to use biofeedback therapy, you need to seek a biofeedback therapist and do this for maybe 1 hour every week. And this is very expensive. They use stationary equipment, which is also expensive for the therapist. And in Norway, no one knows about biofeedback therapy at all. It's more commonly used in private clinics in the US and in Germany. So what we have done is taking the biofeedback concept and bringing it home to the patient themselves so they can have easy access to an effective treatment from home. So reducing the cost and increasing the overall availability for a treatment. Mm-hmm. And what you do as a patient is measuring 3 different things by 2 sensors. So we measure heart rate, variation and temperature in the finger and muscle tension in the neck. And you sit down 10 minutes every day to measure these 3 things while you try to control them. So the goal is to get a nice heart rate variation, wave and high temperature in your finger and a low muscle tension in your neck. And if you manage to do this, you will get high points. It's a bit gamification based, and you'll try to become better and better every day. And what we now have shown is that if you do this biofeedback treatment for 10 minutes every day for 3 months, that has a reduction in migraine on the same level as traditional preventive medications.
Wow, that's so cool. Do you have this sensor with you?
Yes. This is a sensor you put on your finger to measure heart rate variation and temperature. And this is a sensor that you put on your shoulder to measure muscle tension. So this has an adhesive patch that you take off and you put it on your trapezius muscle.
So this is it? You just do it every day for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And is it available for the kids as well, or is it for the adults?
The study has been done on adults. So it will be firstly for adults, and then hopefully we can perform new clinical trials on adolescents and kids to show an effect there as well.
And the second product, tell us about that.
Yeah, so when you have migraine and you get medications for it, it's very important to track the effect of the medications and how much migraine you have, the frequency, the intensity of an attack, etc. So we built Brain Twin. It's an e-diary where you can track your headache, migraines, and use of medications in an app. And it's been growing organically for the last 5 years. We have over 60,000 users in Norway. And it's really an easy-to-use tool that a lot of migraine patients use in communication with their GP or neurologist.
The marketing part of it. That's one of the most common answers from the founders. I hear that I wish I would start early with marketing. Yeah, and we didn't know anything about the marketing. We were focusing on the product, but we should do it more So what is your experience and how do you guys promote it?
So we haven't spent money on marketing up until now. And what we have been focusing on is building it together with the migraine community and with the migraine experts to really make sure that it meets the user's needs, both on the patient side but also on the doctor's side. And they have different needs. So Brain Twin is something in between to help them communicate better. But for us, when it comes to digital health in Norway and in Europe, This is something we would like to become something which is substituted by the state on a reimbursement type of model. That is very hard in Norway with this product. So what we have done in partnership with companies instead is to integrate it now with electronic health records. So we actually just launched that some weeks ago with e-health, or like a patient journal named WebMed. So 1 in 4 GPs in Norway, they use WebMed. So now BrainTwin users can get their data directly into their journal, which is also one way of marketing the product. And this is a free-to-use integration for both sides. So it's more of a partnership marketing game. And we also co-branded BrainTwin together with Pfizer in Finland. And they also use BrainTwin as also in marketing. Yeah, so in one sense it's not direct marketing costs, but it's other ways.
Partnerships and building a strong brand and recognition and stuff like that. What is your experience? How has it been these almost 6 years?
The investment landscape?
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly a lot of focus on health. And you have, of course, focus on women's health, digital health. But it's still, in my opinion, few very competent investors in digital health, especially in Norway. Those investors are mainly abroad, mainly for us in the US, a lot of relevant funds there. But we have few local investors. Those are more angels and private investors, which has helped us tremendously these years. But we still lack more funds that can invest early stage and take companies throughout R&D, the research and development stages of a company. Especially in medical device development, when you do clinical trials and you have very expensive development in several stages, we need more than just angel investors. And
How did you manage that? It's almost 6 years with that.
Well, starting after we started the company 6 years ago, our first investor was Startup Lab. So that was very important. We were part of their accelerator program as one of 6 companies. And that unlocked funding through Innovation Norway. And after that, we got some pre-seed funding from Invento, which also unlocked more private capital from 2 angels that were more invested in the space. One of them was a private neurologist who had built his own private clinic. And that also unlocked more milestones were completed. And we got a lot of research grants.
Was it all planned and strategically planned, or was it just happened learning on the way type of?
It's a lot of learning on the way.
What do you think now about, for instance, community and supporters around you like Startup Lab and others you mentioned? Is that something important and founders should prioritize doing, building this community and network?
Yeah, I think for me it was crucial in the beginning to be in Oslo Science Park, be surrounded by Startup Lab, with people who then expect a lot from you because they're your first investor, you're part of their accelerator. They pushed us also to launch BrainTwin quickly in the market, start to get user feedback, but also mentors from the health incubator ELEAP and organizations like Norway Health Tech, where you have people who have already succeeded with their companies, or many of them have international experience. So I think for me it was crucial to have multiple conversations every single week with mentor types of people to navigate. Because when you're fresh out of university, you don't have any reference points.
Many other founders, even though they're maybe not from the university, right from the university, but they're more experienced, but the CEO role and the role of the founder of the company can feel lonely. So many people mention it's important to find those mentors, those supporters, and surround yourself with the people who can really push advice. It's also about asking for help. Yeah. What do you think about that? Are you good at that? Or? How is your experience?
Yeah, I think one should always ask for help and input. And what I usually do is if I have an issue or problem, I go to maybe 5 different people and get their different opinions. Even within my mentor network, there's huge differences in their opinions. Some come from the life science industry and some come from the technology side. And they have also very different views on whether an investment is, worth it, good or bad, how to run the company. So I think you should always ask for help, but especially in the beginning for me, it was important. But after a certain time, maybe after 1-2 years, it was also clear that we had gathered a lot of knowledge, maybe more knowledge than our other peers or mentors in some space, because when you actively seek input and feedback from so many different sources, you also attract a lot of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. And you also work with it like every day, which is also a big part of it.
So suddenly you become the expert within certain fields.
Then you don't need to ask that much, or are you more convenient of taking decisions based on advice? So what do you feel? Personal experience.
I think at some point I got a lot of feedback like, but hey, Cathrine, you are the one who knows this the best. So...
Did you believe that feedback when you first heard it?
How did that for you? It took me some time. Because when you're always used to being the one who doesn't know, and you turn and you switch and become the expert within your small niche, then you just have to trust yourself and the team and your own decision making.
But what about you? Since you mentioned a little bit about your childhood, and you mentioned to me before you were dancing, competing, you were always, even if it was scary, even if you feel nervous, you just go and do that.
Yeah.
It's kind of the mindset you've grown up with. Isn't that the same mindset you now use being a founder of the company, and you believe that helps you, that experience?
Yeah, you just have to do it. And I just think about all the other entrepreneurs out there. If they can do it, I can do it. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to succeed with the team. But it's, of course, there's a lot of uncomfortable situations. There's a lot of nerves. But you just have to do that many times to overcome it. And then suddenly it becomes more comfort around new situations. So it's just like learning any new skill. You have to train and train and train and train. Yeah.
Founder team dynamic. What is that for you, and what do you believe helps you to still kind of keep doing that, and what makes you a good team? Because you mentioned you didn't know each other from before. It was not like we know it's going to work, we know each other's qualities. So what do you believe helps you, and how is this working out?
I think it has been important to have good defined job descriptions and responsibilities. And it's very easy with me and them because I do everything which is not related to technology development. And I think all of us are very humble of what we know and don't know. So, I cannot make any technical decisions. That's for Marcus and Stefan. But we know that we rely on each other because business input is needed for product development and the other way around. Yeah, from the very beginning, I think, since we all started out right from the university, we knew that we didn't know, how this was gonna come along, and we just had this learning mindset. We have to learn, adapt, and collaborate, and we have the same goal. Eventually, we all want to succeed. We all want to get this product out to the patients, and it's always been about getting this out to the patients and as many patients as possible, as quickly as possible.
Since you mentioned we all have the same goal, did you guys also talk about that? Did you guys also spend time on aligning, on understanding what everyone wants? And was it like a structured job from your side on that?
I think what we aligned the most on was probably, the goal of getting this into the market. Maybe not so much about the journey itself, because no one would know how long this would take. We had the COVID pandemic in the middle, and how long clinical trials will take, for instance. Funding, when you start off with very limited information, you don't know how much funding you need and how much time it will take, 6 years ago. But aligning on the goal of getting this into the hands of patients, that's been very strong the whole way. And I think, a good fundament for good collaboration. And then all the other team members as well that came along. So it was me, Marcus and Stefan for a while, but then Jenny joined 4 years ago. And then we got Petter on board. So he's a designer, she's working with quality assurance. So we've been a very strong team and we make many decisions together.
Since you mentioned the team, and that's also not a secret that, of course, the co-founding team, but also early hires are very important. It's a foundation of the team and how you build culture and values and how you transform your founder values to the team. And so what was that for you as a leader of the company and as a founder as well? So what qualities were you looking for in those early hires, and how do you find the best people?
I think we were very focused a lot on transparency. Of course, on skill sets as well, but really knowing the people that we hired. 2 of them were from my personal network, but frankly, straight out of the university, you don't have a big professional network yet, so it's been hard. But for instance, last year we hired Åse, who came in as a software engineer as well, and she wanted maybe to join the team also because of the mission we're on. So, and a lot of job applicants we've gotten have been around our mission. People really want to work with digital health. People are very interested in our mission, but it is hard to recruit in Norway, I think. And it's also, a theme politically. It's hard to recruit talents to Norway now, and it's risky to go and join a startup when you're not a big company yet with a lot of security. It is a risk all the time.
What do you think, what is the good part about building company in Norway?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities early stage, with early stage funding and early stage help, like the first year, or maybe 2, 3, because you get a lot of early grants. There are more smaller investors, and I think you can also get early traction from customers. We have we have a pretty flat structure in Norway. It's not very hard to get to talk to potential customers and get a foot in the door.
What about you personally? 6 years of leading a company, building a company from zero, right after the university, as you mentioned, and the CEO is a pretty big role as well. It's a lot of different things, take care of company growth, taking care of people, and you just mentioned yourself, all the other hats except the technical ones. But how has it been personally for you? Do you enjoy that role?
Yeah, I really enjoy to do a lot of different things at the same time. But it's of course been a journey. The first year I remember I had to learn a lot about financials. It was a whole new world for me. And then when we became like 8 people in the company, it was more about getting HR in place. So it's been different focuses during different stages. But I think I really enjoy having that strategic perspective where you know a little bit about everything and you can put the pieces together and execute on a strategy, and working together with the board and other mentors to discuss how the operational side of a company. So I think that's what I enjoy most with my job. And then, of course, investor relations, pitching, presentations, building customer relationships. I've really enjoyed that.
But what about challenges, and especially the first year? Or it's actually different because some of the founders, they say the first year when you start a company, it's the pure honeymoon, and the others saying this is the toughest year because also you have to prove and kind of believe in yourself that much and don't kind of stop and don't give up. What is your experience? What is the first year of a running company for you? What was that?
I think the first year was pretty hard because you're also being told by everyone how hard it is, and how much work you have to do, how much you don't have in place. So in that sense, it's been easier as the years have gone by, but there's just always different types of challenges.
How do you deal with challenges? Do you have any tools or rituals how you support yourself?
Well, it's just talking about them, reflecting about challenges, being open to the team about it, and trying to find good solutions. But it's normal to have challenges, so it's part of the journey, and it's, I guess, tackling it more with curiosity, like, that's an interesting challenge. Now, how can we solve it in a good way?
That's a great mindset. Is it coming from the childhood again, or how did that happen? No?
I don't think so. I don't know. But it's just, I think from engineering studies, it's always been a lot of hard things you have to learn and doing things you have never done before from, day one in Nordic Brain Tech. There's challenges that have been solved by many other entrepreneurs previously. There's so many successful companies and products out there. Our challenges cannot be that unique. They are solvable. Yeah.
But this is still a mindset. You guys all knew in the beginning that you don't know everything, right? So you were open to learn, you were kind of open to tackling these challenges, and you also have this probably, as I see, like positively mindset of like, okay, this is a new challenge. How do we do that? Is it the whole team mindset, or is it you?
I think we complement each other. So we have some sort of optimism in the team, and we have some more realism in the team, and we probably talk about it multiple times, and then we work around it, and then we come to a conclusion.
So you guys are good at talking, discussing, and the transparency help probably, right?
Yeah, I think so.
What other rituals, if you have on like talking about challenges, do you have any other like rituals maybe which help you be grounded and or pick yourself up after setbacks?
In some strange way, I'm also getting a lot of energy from knowing that something is hard to accomplish. So if there are small setbacks, that's totally fine. It's just, refueling again, and then trying one more time. Again, there's no reason for... It's very hard to succeed the first time on everything you do. So you just have to try and test and iterate and develop and evolve.
So how do you recharge? You mentioned
recharge.
If it's not working, you just recharge and do it again.
Recharge. I don't know how I recharge really, but
I think on the phone you mentioned you train.
Yeah.
Slow weekend or like not that social weekend if you're like super busy.
True. That's true. I really need to not be that social all the time. Yeah.
And you know that, right? You know yourself and you know what things you need and when. Yeah. You're good at that. How did you train that? How did you kind of...
Again, it was probably just, first of all, it's I'm too social, do too many things. And then, it doesn't work. Try again. Okay, try a weekend without any social interactions. And then you're just finding the balance as you go.
What is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
I think it's really about being able to build something I really want to build for people. Helping people it's a lot of meaning. Yeah, it's a lot of purpose. And every day feels like, a purposeful day. Every day is hard in some ways, and there are successes and at different stages, but it just feels really meaningful.
Do you remember if there was a pivotal moment, meaningful, and which you believe was like the right decision you made?
I don't know if it was pivotal, but in the very beginning we were pushed by Startup Lab to launch our second product, Brain Twin. So all the time we have had 2 different products, and I think it has been very important because Brain Twin has been somewhat revenue generating, and that has helped us in investor dialogues and also getting our second product through clinical trials and doing that, being successful with that. That was not the initial plan. So that was something we developed along the way. Other pivotal moments, I'm not sure, but the pandemic was really hard, and we probably had to take a lot of decisions during that time on focus areas and small things, but haven't been huge things.
Are you good at taking decisions, you believe?
No, not very good.
How do you help yourself? The founder should take, and the CEO especially takes a lot of decisions on what fire to run to today and how to prioritize, and it's hard. So how do you do? Do you have any tools or lists or whatever what helps you?
I think there are easy decisions to take right away that you can take every single day, all day long, and then there are harder decisions that I discuss with the team, the board, mentors, investors, and walk around to get more input. And that's my way of taking decisions. I need some time and I need to think it very carefully through. But there are times where I don't have that much time and it feels uncomfortable. So I think taking decisions is difficult, especially when I don't have that much experience from other jobs, but I'm learning.
That's the best mindset to have. Just a couple of more. So first of all, where do you see Nordic Brain Tech in 5-10 years, and what impact you want to bring to the digital health industry?
So most importantly, in 5 years' time, I believe that our product, our biofeedback treatment, is an actually first-line treatment. So when you go to the doctor, you get biofeedback as a recommended treatment for migraine, and you also get that on blå resept in Norway or on reimbursement in Europe, and that this can have a huge impact on migraineurs, but also for other indications like anxiety, depression, other headache types, and that it's a go-to solution for non-pharmacological interventions.
If we're talking about advice, I first wanted to ask you if you would do anything differently, if you can go back to the beginning of your journey, but maybe you can also share other founders, other people in a similar situation as you were, straight after university, curious, wanting to do something meaningful, as you say, and also looking into the health tech, healthcare space. What would you advise them?
Yeah, I think it's hard to go directly from the university, maybe because of the age, and you have a very limited professional network. So if I would do this again, and I would probably start something again, I would leverage more the network and start off with another type of starting point. But it's hard to advise someone that you should have more knowledge before you start, because when you don't have the knowledge, you are very curious, and there are some good, it's good also to have that drive and passion and energy. And I think if you are in a job situation where you become too comfortable, it could be hard to go into the startup scene.
So also maybe a part of a success on the way for you, that you guys just jumped into it and start doing that?
Yeah, I think so. But we are doing a medical device, and this has also been a very new field. It's been a new regulation. It's been very low or limited knowledge around medical device development. So I think going into that industry was a good fit with us being young and unexperienced, because a lot of other people also had to shift and learn a lot of new things. So when you're straight out of university, you're used to learning all the time. It's easier maybe to adapt to that. But I would also just encourage people to really, really understand the industry they're going into, and especially the regulations if it's about health, because there are so many gray zones, there's so many regulations and things to think about also in regards to the payment model and business model. So you really, really have to understand that early. And it's important to show investors early that you also understand the business model. Otherwise, it's hard to have faith in you, I think.
And what helped you to find your business model? Was it talking to those supporters, to Startup Labs, and to the others?
Yeah, this has been a mission which is we're not there yet because it's such a radical innovation. So there are few examples we can look to who has done this previously. But it's really to talk to the migraine experts, the doctors, the patients, the end user, and also understanding who will be the paying part. But in Norway, for instance, we would like it to be reimbursed, but there's no system for it yet. So we have to find a way around until that's in place. So that's been difficult. And then it's different from each market. So you have to learn how it is in each market. It's not a one model will fit all, but you have to just be close to, being at conferences, seeing what competitors are doing, similar types of companies in the industry, learning from them.
And luckily you like the customer contact, you like the investor contact, and you now learned how important the network and kind of the supporters around you are and how that can help you. And thank you so much for your time and for sharing about your journey.
Thank you for the walk.
Amazing. And looking forward to follow. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.